We have 5 different tissue types, and each tissue type reacts different. We have 2 main groups, old groups and new groups. The old group of tissue you can recognize with the blue border, and the new tissue groups you can recognize with the orange border. So in the old groups, we have the sponge tissue, the jellyfish tissue, and the turtle tissue. And in the new tissue types, we have the bear tissue and the chimp tissue. Of course, they're not really sponge type tissues, but it's a metaphor, right? Sponge tissue is all about digestion and taking food in and excreting food. The jellyfish tissue is all about moving food inside of your intestines. The turtle tissue is all about protection and integrity. The bear tissue is all about strength, stability, and the chimp tissue is all about social connection. These tissues also grew over time in embryology and in evolution, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in another video. But at first, the sponge tissue is developed, and the jellyfish is developed, and the turtle is developed, then the bear, and finally the chimp is developed. So if we take a look at the old tissue, the old tissue type, like the sponge, the jellyfish, and the turtle, in the active adaptation phase on the left, there's a buildup of cells, more function, more cells, more function. And in the restoration phase, we have a breakdown of the additional cells. So for example, if we take the stomach, which is a sponge tissue, in the adaptation phase, when I cannot digest something, in the adaptation phase, I have a cell build up more stomach acid. And in the restoration phase, stomach acid goes back to normal levels. If I take a turtle brain tissue, for example, the dermis, when I feel like I'm being attacked, I have a cell plus, a more stronger skin, a thicker skin, a more sturdy skin. And in the restoration, we decompose those extra cells and it becomes a less thick or thinner skin. So the restoration phase on a tissue type is exactly the opposite of what happened in the adaptation phase. And the old brain tissues, the first set of developed tissues, are the sponge, jellyfish, and turtle, have more cells in the adaptation phase. They build up and they build down in the restoration phase. In the new brain tissues, which is the bear brain and the chimp brain, in the adaptation phase, we have kind of like digging a hole, getting less cell function, less insulin, less lining of the arteries, etc., less bone density. And in the restoration phase, we're kind of filling it up. We're creating, the hole is being filled. So the insulin is back to normal, the bone density is getting back to normal. So again, it's the opposite. The new brain tissues, like the bear and the chimp, in the adaptation phase, they start digging a hole, they become less effective in what they're doing, they produce less hormones, less dense. And in the restoration phase, they're actually gonna build it up again, build it up back to the normal state. So for now, it's really important to remember we have old brain tissues, new brain tissues. Old brain tissues in the restoration phase, they break down the wall, and new brain tissues refill the hole in the restoration phase.
Now remember to subscribe to this channel so you never miss anything. Just hit the subscribe button.